Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode here on the Sitrep podcast. I'm your host, Oriskany Jim, and we have something of a small hobby emergency at Casa del Oriskany today. Shakos and Spruce has joined us. He's about to hit the sack. Oh, I'll bet. It's got to be just past midnight over where you're at, sir. Thanks very much for coming by and at least saying hello. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get this stream going. So the idea behind tonight's stream is that I have a game of 7 days to the River Rhine scheduled for Sunday. And I'm putting my Bundeswehr modern Germans up against some modern Russians in a what-if near future scenario. And I don't have any real air defense for my poor Germans. I've got 2 Shilkas for my Soviets, technically 3, if I can cheat a little and bring in some desert camouflage or desert painted Shilkas. But long story short, take your first shot. I've got air defense for my Russians, air defense for my Americans. All my modern factions have air defense, even my Iraqis, except my poor Germans. Now, normally, what a sane person does is say, oh, I'm going to find some guys who either maybe 3D print this stuff, or I'll go to Battlefront, or I'll go to Plastic Soldier Company, or who knows what. I'll go somewhere out there, get myself a 15mm miniature, pay via credit card, wait 2 weeks for it to finally arrive. Finally arrives, it gets tossed into the pile of shame for 6 months. It sits there for about another year or two. Then I say, oh, I should finally, this is the normal life cycle for a miniature. That's not how it works at the Hobby Oriskany desk, the Oriskany Hobby desk, because I've got to have this done for Sunday. Because I waited too long. I forgot I didn't have a Gepard or any other kind of West German air defense or Bundeswehr air defense vehicle or real asset. And I said, you know what? I need something like now. It's way too late to order something. It's way too late to have something 3D printed, shipped to me, build it, paint it, on top of a 40 to 50 hour work week, on top of putting out streams, on top of getting ready a video for Sunday. And again, I've got to prepare this scenario and actually have it staged, including some additional terrain I still have to build, all before Sunday. Needless to say, I'm not getting much sleep in the next 3 days. So what are we going to do instead? We are going to cheat, and we are going to Oriskany kitbash / scratch build our own Gepard. Now, for the record, this is only a temporary measure. I'm going to go online, I'm going to get myself a Gepard, I'm going to have it shipped like a real grown-up hobbyist, and it's going to be correct. Because what I'm putting out today, and what I'm going to have on the table on Sunday, is not going to be completely correct. And it's going to be it's going to be a dream target for a Revit counter, but it's going to be close, and it's going to get the point across for Sunday's game, and it's going to get the point across for the video that is coming out on Sunday's game. All right, so let's get started. For people who may not be aware, the Gepard is originally West German, now just German, self-propelled anti-aircraft system. This is pretty much the same thing we had with the ill-fated Sergeant York system, a piece of garbage that was. More successfully, sort of, with the I think it's 167 VODs, Vulcan Air Defense System. They basically took an M61 Vulcan 6-barrel 1920mm chain gun and slapped it on top of an M113. Americans, honestly, like to have a lot of missiles. They're not a huge believer in air defense guns. Other nations, however, like air defense guns. So we have this for the West Germans, the Shilka for the Soviets, and later on the Russians, and so on. So it's I believe it's 35mm cannon, radar controlled, clearly. And this thing is based on it's not a cheap weapon system by any means. And I mean that in a whole spectrum of ways. It is not cheap financially or economically. It's based on a Marder 1 chassis, so it weighs 52 tons. We can see the little 52 weight markings right there, so we know exactly how much it weighs. It's radar controlled, which means you have to have some pretty advanced training for your crews to use it. It's going to be gas or fuel and supplies hungry. It's not, financially, when it comes to procurement, construction, maintenance, operational field use, logistical footprint on the rest of your army, it's not going to be a cheap system, but it's pretty effective. So how am I going to get one of these? Well, we're going to cheat, like I said. So I don't have any Martyr 1 chassis lying around that I can use as a baseline for this. I have some spare M60s and M48s. This is actually a 50mm M48 3D printed that I haven't put together yet. I'm going to go ahead and cheat. You can tell it's an M48, by the way, if anyone's ever wondering. You can easily tell an M48 from an M60, the two different kinds of major patent lines, by looking at the frontal glacis plate. If it's curved, it's an M48. If it's straight, it's an M60. So if a tank is smiling at you, it's an M48. So I've got an old M48. It's not the right tank, clearly. It's got the wrong hull shape. It's a little too small. And most tellingly, this is how you tell what tank something really is. If you want to be a rivet counter, Oriskany has been a rivet counter. I rivet count when I feel the person on the table deserves to be rivet counted. I rivet count the shit out of people. Here's a quick tip. If you're going to rivet count right. Check the wheels on the tank. It's the one thing they can't really fake. And here's where it's going to become very clear that this is not the right tank. A Martyr 1 chassis has 7 wheels in its running gear. 7 of those road wheels. The M48 only has 6. So it's going to be clear. Again, I'm not even trying to say this is the right kind of vehicle. Rivet counters, have your fun with me. I've already, offered my disclaimer. This is a one-use thing that I'm going to have just to get past this game. We have it scheduled on Sunday, and the videos that come out for it later. And then by the time I use my West Germans again, hopefully I'll have a real Martyr, and we'll move forward from there. So obviously I won't be using the turret. I'm going to use the hull as a not even really approximation. Shakos and Sprue says, working quite well on the modern battlefield against drones. Bullets are a lot cheaper than missiles. Yeah, the issue there is, Shako and Sprue's, the problem with America, one of the reasons the American military shies away a little from from gun systems like that. Not entirely. Like, we have a 25mm that's on top of a Humvee. Everyone knows about the VODs. We tried with the Sergeant York, and that turned out to be a train wreck. But honestly, enemy helicopters have never been that big of a threat against us. I think Team Yankee makes the Hind a little bit too powerful. 7 Days to the River Rhine, which is what I play, makes the Hind actually pretty damn powerful. I don't know if it really is that, great. We see its actual service in Ukraine. So, guns, air defense weapon systems that use guns are what you use against helicopters. Using a gun-mounted or gun-based air defense systems against aircraft can technically work, but let's face it, they've usually launched their ordnance at you from over the horizon. Your guns are never going to get a chance to reach them. So when it comes to fixed-wing aircraft or bigger assets, you usually have to go to a missile. The other thing for the Americans, they have a little thing called the Stinger. And weapons like the Avenger, which is basically a Humvee with a quad mount of Stingers. Light, fast, cheaper than a gun, and much longer ranged and much more accurate. And once you get past the AIM-9L variant of the Stinger missile, it can attack, acquire, track and attack and engage and knock down a target, even though it's an infrared-based missile, from the nose on. You don't have to get behind it. That's the big weakness, by the way, when it comes to missile-based anti-aircraft systems, which you probably know, is normally missiles knock down the enemy aircraft after they've hit you and have flown over you and are flying away. Now they're showing you their engines, your missiles lock on, and your missiles track. Tends to be better to knock down the enemy aircraft before he blows you up. That's the big thing with guns. The problem is guns have a huge limitation when it comes to range. And that's the problem. That's their Achilles heel, is range. Normally it's not a big deal on a 50mm table because, again, I'm not going to get on the soapbox about range on miniature table and proper scale and all that mess. But suffice it to say that you would, if you're going to rely completely on guns for air defense, you're never going to see the guy that kills you. He's got you dead to rights from 30 miles away, half the time. Weapon systems like the Hellfire, the Maverick, no, they're going to hit you from way too far away for you to engage with guns. So, like I was saying, I'm starting off with my M48 chassis, and then I'm going to build the base of the mortar with some pine wood here. And then I start to shape it to get like the basic footprint of my mortar. Of my Gepard turret. Alright, so up here in the red, you can see where I've actually started to build. That's all poster board and pine wood and balsa wood and now toothpicks. Building this thing completely from scratch. Alright, there is the turret built. It's a little too tall and it looks a little too large because it's on a hull that's too small. Again, this thing is originally based, the real vehicle is based on the Marder 1 tank chassis, which again has a 7th road wheel, and it's significantly longer than this. So if the tank looks a little, or I should say if the AA vehicle looks a little top heavy, that's, kind of why. But that's all scratch built. This is pine wood down here, some more pine wood, 2 toothpicks, some extra sprue bits. Okay, these are some pieces out of my bits box, the hatch and these little components on the back. So, okay, it's not completely scratch built. My grenade launchers are plastic broom bristles, and it's even got a little post that is made to fit into the turret well so that the turret rotates properly. Again, this is literally going to be used once. I'm not going to magnetize it. I'm not going to have the guns elevate and depress, anything like that. Alright, and that's where we are for the moment. And then I will catch up with, I will catch up with the chat here. Madman says, Martyr chassis or Leopard 1 chassis? I may have misspoken before. I meant to say Leopard 1. Madman. The Gepard anti-aircraft system is definitely a Leopard 1 chassis, which is not what I have here. This is an M48 chassis. It's just what I have available, and again, I had to put this on the table in about 96 hours. So I don't have time to order the right stuff. This vehicle will be used exactly once, so I'm not going to put too much effort into it. And then I will remarry the hull with its original turret and paint the M48 properly, add it to my force on a more permanent basis. So thanks for very much for coming out, Madman. Yes, it's definitely a Leopard 1 chassis. I may have misspoken before. Shaco says M48 Gepard somehow still seems less Frankenstein than the chain gun and M113. Hey, the M113 is great, man. That thing has got more variants than I don't know what, man. They use that thing for everything, so can't really complain about that. The tank is smiling at you. That's right. That's how you know. Thanks for the tip for us noobs, says Jen. Knock out the planes before they blow you up. Good to know. Yeah, it's kind of obvious. Do they make a Gepard at this scale? Yes, Battlefront definitely makes a Gepard at this scale. I'm in touch with some people on Facebook who print out Gepards at this scale. So long story short, Patchwork Pictures, yes, somebody somewhere makes a Gepard on this scale. Battlefront miniatures, if nothing else. The problem with Battlefront, they are a little expensive. They're worth it because their miniatures are great. But sometimes there's availability issues, and you're waiting God knows how long to get your stuff. Normally not a big deal, because miniature painting takes a while anyway. But when you're on the clock and you have a project due on Sunday morning at 9 a.m., you got to have it now. Hence the quote emergency. Amazing work, says Shakos and Spruce. Thanks very much. I will show you where I am on painting it so far. Hopefully. It looks a little bit better. Another historian wargamer says, what on earth have I walked into? Wow, that thing looks awesome. Well, it's not painted yet. So after this, I primed it black, and then I gave it some airbrush work earlier today. John Sowerby has joined us. Hello, John. Thanks very much for coming out. Looks like the anti-Santa tank. Don't say that, Shakos and Sprues. Followers of the channel know we have our anti-Santa battles every single Christmas. Santa right now is still 9-0. 8-0. I'm sorry. All the people at the club, and nobody has this model, huh? Nope. Our club has a lot of people who talk a big game, and don't bring many miniatures, with a few exceptions. Myself is one of them. John Sowerby in the chat with us right now runs games at our club that are really awesome. He ran a really awesome Starship Troopers game, amazingly painted, and tons of miniatures and terrain for that one. And Mark Ritchie runs tons of games. Other than that, I think Jim Dundorf brings a lot of miniatures and hosts a lot of games for De Bell's Antiquitatis. But when it comes time to modern miniatures, I think I'm pretty much it at the moment. So if you check out our channel, you'll see that we're definitely running a lot of stuff. Beautiful work. I like it. Thanks very much, Madman. John says, evening Shakos. I haven't seen you in chat since Monday, right? All right, so I have some in 1 to 300. CNC, I think, from back in the day. Shakos and Spruce also adds good evening. Okay, so everyone's just talking out here. Jen says, Amazon has a Team Yankee Gepard Flak Panzer battery. It looks like 2 minis for $27. That's what I'll probably order, and I do need these for my army eventually. I've had a Bundeswehr army, Martyrs, Leopard 2s, the whole 9 yards for like 7 years now, almost 7 years, and I've never bought them air defense. So I've been rambling way too long. Sorry, everyone. Way too long, I say. Okay. So literally while the stream was getting ready to start, I went ahead and dropped this on the floor. The miniature that you saw earlier has now been, again, the turret looks way too big because it's on too small of a hull. But from most 3/4 angles, it doesn't look too atrocious. And again, this monstrosity is going to be used exactly once. And I'll probably just take this and toss it. And then I will, yep, see, now the gun fell off. So that's nothing wrong with the model. I say model, I literally just built this out of, poster board, plastic scraps, pieces of broom bristle, and some pine wood, and 2 toothpicks. Unfortunately, I did drop it literally as the stream was starting, because it's been that kind of friggin' day. When I say long story short, take a shot, I am literally drinking. I won't say when I'm drinking, because I don't want to get banned off of YouTube or demonetized or whatever, but it's not soda pop. Now I gotta find a glue bottle that actually has some glue in it. Alright, super fast repair work here. Come on, get in there, you. There we go. So, John, this is what we're going to be running, Mark and I, while you guys are at Recon. I am thinking about a hypothetical what-if kind of a game in the near future, where either Russian or Belarusian forces get into a border incident in the Baltics, probably southern Lithuania, along that Kaliningrad corridor. Article 5 is triggered, and West German, or I shouldn't say West German, German Bundeswehr units are among those who respond. Alright, so that's what it looks like so far. So basically, I'm just going to throw some basic paint on this stuff, guys, and then maybe some tactical markings, again, just to get it ready for probably the one time I'm going to use this on Sunday. So, first thing we're going to do, John Sowerby says, Patrick, I'm up in Orlando. Oh yeah, for Recon. Yeah, beginning O group games all day. That'd be cool. Some command tactical level stuff. Probably my favorite scale. At least as far as, I mean like command scale, not like miniature scale. Although I usually use hex counters for that kind of thing. But that's cool. I think you run that in 20 mil, don't you, John? That's pretty awesome. Which is interesting because that scale, I should say, there I go with scale again. That command level is actually like a click above even Panzerleader. I wonder if these tracks are too light. I try to keep them from being, yeah, those are, I try to keep them from being pure black, and so I've mixed a little bit of gray in there. I think I put a little bit too much gray in there. I hope the mini sticks around. It looks great. Thank you, but it really doesn't. I appreciate the kind words. The problem is that anyone who is familiar with this stuff, which would be most of the people who are playing with these kind of armies, is going to take one look at this and say, oh, that's an interesting... that's if they're polite. Because, yeah, this thing is not accurate. Again, I'm trying to just get past... Not get past, I'll make it sound like it's a big job. I'm just trying to, see if it can... Ooh, sorry about that. I got caught on the cord of my headphones there. That might be a little bit, yeah, it's a little bit darker. I like that better. I'm just trying to get it to where it will kind of get the job done for a couple hours on Sunday. It won't be embarrassing to video it, or to have it be in like a game report video. There will be like a note in the video, hey, or whatever, this is not really a Gepard. We know it's not the right chassis. We're making do with what we have, given the time scale. You guys know me, I kit bash and scratch build stuff all the time. There's a question in our latest YouTube video right now from a new community member looking at our West Bank Yom Kippur War 15mm game. And the question is, hey, great video, I love your armies, where do you get your buildings from? I was like, dude, I get them from the sweat of my brow. Build a lot of stuff myself. Quite frankly, I mean, it's not like I'm cheap or anything. I gotta have it. It's gotta be now, because a lot of my miniature painting stuff is not like for fun or just to have. It's because I got it. There's a video that's due, or there's an article series, or there's who knows what. Speaking of which, while I pick away at these tracks, guys, stay tuned. Watch this space. There is a ton of stuff coming out here on the Sitrep podcast. You guys know that we like to track our anniversaries. Going by World War II, Stalingrad is now over. North Africa is just about over. It's effectively over. And then there's going to be a little bit of a lull. Not much happens in World War II in late May and June of 43. We're going by the 80th anniversaries because it's 2023, obviously. Starting in July, business picks up. I'm sure you guys are familiar with some of the 80th anniversaries we're going to be watching. We're going to be doing literally the largest battle in the history of humanity ever. Full stop, no questions asked. Of course, we're talking about the Battle of Kursk. Starting unofficially July 4th, officially July 5th, 1943. No, it does not end at Prokhorovka. That's the German version. That battle goes on into August and winds up involving something like 3 million people. That is a monster battle. Almost simultaneously, we have the Americans and British with Operation Husky. I think it starts on 8 July 1943, which means we're going to be looking at it about 8 July 2023, because we like our 80th anniversaries. That, of course, is the invasion of Sicily. And that goes on, I think, also to about the middle of August, mid-August or late August. After that, we're in September. September will have a slight breather, but that's only gearing up for even more stuff. This year, October 2023, 50th anniversary of the Yom Kippur War. Now, I know we just did the Yom Kippur literally like 4 days ago. And in fact, there's another part coming out this Sunday with more Yom Kippur, basically part 2 of that game. So we'll be leaving Yom Kippur War alone until the end of the year, October, and then we're going to be hitting it very, very hard. I'm sure you guys know that we do pretty much historical wargaming, theoretically as far back as, when Christ was a corporal kind of a thing. Honestly, we tend to stick a lot in the 20th century. We might go back as far as the American Revolution once in a while, but we don't usually go back too much further than that. But at least 50% of our content is post-1945. We started off as a modern wargaming channel. We're not exclusively modern wargaming anymore, but that's still our roots. So when it comes to post-1945 conflicts, the Yom Kippur War is definitely king of the hill when it comes to the Arab-Israeli conflicts, and the Arab-Israeli conflicts is definitely one of the big ones in general. As far as scope of conflict, size of the conflict, its influence, its impact. So October of 2023 is going to be important for us. That's going to be October 6th that war officially starts, and it has a couple of starts and stops. Oh crap, I'm too far up to see. Sorry about that. It finally, officially, completely, all the ceasefires finally ends 28 October. Some people will mention dates earlier than that. That's because there's a series of ceasefires, and some of them work, some of them don't. And then even before that, October 3rd, 2023, is the 30th anniversary of Operation Gothic Serpent, i.e. the Battle of Mogadishu, i.e. Black Hawk Down. So, yeah, there's a lot going on this year. November of 2023 is a little something I might be doing, along with my friend Mark. He can help me out with that. If not, we'll do it in Panzer Leader. Especially if you're into the U.S. Marine Corps, 80th anniversary of the Battle of Tarawa. So it's been kind of mellow as far as anniversaries go, because we didn't want to hit Stalingrad very hard. Stalingrad, even if you did, Stalingrad ended back in technically February of 2023, 80th anniversary wise. But, there's something in my brush. What the hell is that? What was I going to say? Yeah, we did some North Africa. We did Battle of El Qatar, clearly. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that for the March. And yeah, it's going to get hairy from here. It's going to be pretty much flat out for the rest of the year. So hang on, stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming your way in the months ahead. In fact, we're going to be hard-pressed to even hit everything. Because I do want to hit 50th of Yom Kippur. We hit the 50th of 67 war back in 2017. Although technically, Sitrep podcast wasn't a thing yet in those days. Some other people I worked with. We did hit this 50th anniversary of the 6-Day War. Ooh, sorry, I hit the cord on my stupid headphones again. Back in 2017, June of 2017, we hit the 50th anniversary of the Tet Offensive in January and February 2018. And yeah, the next big thing is Yom Kippur in 73. So 2023. Unfortunately, I don't have any storage for 28mm terrain where I live, but plenty of my new... I'm missing probably a whole bunch of conversations here. Oh, Wardrobe has joined us. Wow, a whole bunch of people. Wow, cool. Wardrobe plays World War II. Thanks very much for the kind words. I hope this mini sticks around. Even though it's not really the most accurate thing in the world. Hey, it's like the ugly duckling. But thanks very much for the kind words. Definitely appreciate it. O Group plays really well, says Shaco and Spruce. A very interesting game for its command level. Yeah, from what I understand, that's like a company battery level game, or even battalion level game. Which is not too unlike what we do with Panzer Leader, which is platoon, company, battery. Correct me if I'm wrong. Clearly, you guys know more about it than I do. With O Group. I just wish they changed the name. O Group, I think the O in O Group implies operational. It doesn't sound like it's really an operational game. But, like I said, I won't judge it because I've never played it. Also, I could have the command level wrong. So, hey, what do I know? Alright, I think I will put a pin wash on this because there's no real detail painting to do on this outside of the tracks. There's very small detail painting, headlights, taillights, tactical markings, engineering tools, exhaust, little stuff like that. Maybe some stuff for the sensors. Here's a little radar bulb that sits in the front of the vehicle. Then, of course, there's this radar dish in the back. But I think I'll do that after I pin wash and after I dry brush. The scheme I'm going for are one of my old Leopards. Now, clearly you can see that the saturation is way off. This tank is 7 years old. So this tank is going to look like that tank eventually. Also, this is going to get the hell dry brushed out of it. So this is going to lighten and desaturate a great deal. It won't look exactly like this Leopard 2, this completed Leopard 2 yet. But it'll be close enough to where, again, we're going to use it for literally one day. Honestly, the paints that I painted this with 7 years ago, won my first golden button with this, by the way, with my Leopard 2s. Again, the tank is 7 years old. I just don't have those paints anymore. So I had to mix and match myself today with the airbrush, try and get close to it. I got the colors right, it's just the saturation and contrast level are way off. But no worries. The dry brush will fix a great deal of that. Excuse me, will fix a great deal of that. Building terrain is one of my favorite things to do, hobby-wise, says my friend Dylan. Yeah, I build all my own terrain. I think the only thing I don't build when it comes to terrain are my palm trees. And even those I paint differently a little bit. Like, this isn't right out of the box. Other than that, like even my regular pine trees or my deciduous trees, I build all those things. All my buildings, all my roads, all my bridges, all my shrubs, hedges, blah, blah, blah. Alright, so... yeah, let me go ahead and start dry brushing. The hell with it. Let's... oh, real quick, as long as I have everyone here, I've also been building up my Vietnam forces. So these things are not completed yet. But I've got a 15mm gun truck. Look at the size of this thing, dude. Notice all the plate around the cabs. 2 50 cals and a 30 cal out the back. That thing's going to have an anti-infantry value for your ass. How about an M113 kind of wreckage and bolted to the back of another one of those trucks? It's just the stuff you would see in Vietnam. A regular, I'm not sure what kind of truck this is. 10-wheel vehicle, so it's not a deuce and a half. Big ass freaking truck, man. Big ass prime mover, I guess. And the rest of my M113s. So I bought 9 M113s. You guys may remember. I painted up 5 of them for use in my Israeli army. Those guys have already been in our Suez Canal game. Again, stay tuned for part 2 of that tomorrow. The rest of because they come in 3s, so I bought 3 packs of 3 for 9. These are old gold race, I should mention, 15mm. Those were built again, with all my own kitbashed and scratch built stowage. So that's why some of these things don't look uniform. All that, yeah, the rest of the vehicles in this kit are actually already on video. That's the first 5. The other 4 are going to be American, and I'll use them in Vietnam games. Along with all these gun trucks I got from Mark Ritchie. Things weigh a ton, man. It's solid metal. Thunk. If you can't win the game, or if the dice are going against you, you can just throw this thing at your opponent, and trust me, you'll win. Hit him in the forehead with that one time, he won't argue with you no more about rules. Alright. Let me get some white dry brush here, and I will get started on dry brushing. Also, catch up on Mr. Chat. Apple Barrel. Nothing but the best for you guys. Oriskany builds his own tanks because he doesn't want to buy them. You think he's going to buy hobby paints? Oriskany, confirmed for cheap bastard. Alright, let me find a decent brush that will work for this. Get this out of the way since it's messing up my white balance. O Group plays, okay, we already read that one. Wardrobe plays World War II, says, if anyone complains about the minis, I politely let them know they are welcome to paint my minis for me. Yep, can't argue with that. My little responses are, well, you can show me how you do it on your table. And of course they never do, because they don't have a table. The really fun one is when they try and tell me how the military works. That's not really what doctrine is. That's not really what operational warfare is. That's not really what tactical combat is. Oh, really? What branch did you serve in? Oh, yeah, that's what I thought. All right. Sit down, kid. Meanwhile, what else we got here? Oh, Jim's favorite, dreaded tracks. Tracks don't really bother me that much anymore. They're not hard, they're just boring. Also, I'm only painting one vehicle here. I finally figured out what you guys have been trying to tell me for years. Just paint one vehicle and have fun with it. I'm always trying to paint an army, because again, I need a West German army built before Tuesday or something. And I have to build like 20 vehicles. And yeah, it's a pain in the ass. So, I mean, I'm not going to tell you guys how to boil an egg. You guys know how dry brushing works. Just chilling out, hanging out. Yes, I always do paint the bottom of my tracks. Because a lot of times when you run out of wreck counters or smoke markers, you just flip the tank over to show that it's been destroyed. What else is going on? No spoilers, please. I'm really looking forward to finishing Season 3 of Picard. You guys know me, I am a huge Star Trek fan. Especially since I kind of finally had to divorce myself from Star Wars once and for all. To be fair to the Star Wars fans, Star Trek has not been in any better shape recently, pretty much since 2009. Star Trek has been almost as bad, if not worse. Star Trek Discovery, no. Star Trek Strange New Worlds, no. Well, I haven't seen any new Strange New Worlds yet, so let me not judge that yet. But I do not hear good things. And definitely Lower Decks. No. And Picard Seasons 1 and 2. I heard from friends of mine, including people I follow who actually work with Star Trek, like, back in the day, back in the 90s, the glory days of Star Trek, they were like, look, I know Seasons 1 and 2 were terrible. Season 3 of Picard is actually good. Do not give up the faith. They didn't fire him, but Alex Kurtzman's been kind of put to the side a little bit, or stepped aside. I don't know if it's voluntary or not. Frankly, I don't care about the corporate politics, but he has not been involved with this new season. And it's actually really good. I've only seen the first 4 episodes so far. I'm waiting for it to get completely done. I think it's now completely done. I think the season 3 finale has finally dropped. And I'm just gonna probably binge it when I have friggin' time. So kind of looking forward to that. But I don't want to overdo it. You see here, what I was talking about before, look at the difference in contrast. We're a lot closer, but we probably still haven't hit it completely. But we are significantly closer to that, well, we're actually not that close. But we are a little bit closer to the Leopard 2 than where we were. Compare the turret to the hull, and the hull to, again, this is not going to be permanently added to the army, so I'm not really trying to hit it exactly. I want to get close just so it doesn't look weird on the table, but it's fine. Madman says, just remembered, I scratched one in micro armor back in the 70s. Balsa, wire and paper for the radar, and alternate with regular turret on a Leopard 1. Yeah, if you had a Leopard 1 chassis, and you literally could just build your Leopard 1 turret, and build your Gepard turret, and literally just swap them out. Depending on what you needed for the scenario. Glad to see I'm not the only one who is crazy enough to try and scratch build this stuff. Or at least part of it. Another historian wargamer. Unfortunately, I don't have storage for 28mm terrain. Okay, cool. Yeah, 20mm terrain would be a bear. I have 15mm terrain, which I sometimes cheat and use as 20mm terrain, and even that is really starting to tax the limits of my space here in the house. I don't have a huge house. I don't live in a mansion or anything. Very gentle, don't knock any of my little grenade launchers off. I'm pretty sure that's the right, okay. Shinko says, I'm really enjoying the 7 days to the River Rhine content. Awesome, because that is a fun game. And the reason it's fun, it is simple. Sometimes I get a reputation for liking these big, complicated, like hex and counter games. The nice thing about 7 days to the River Rhine is that it is simple without being simplistic. There's a certain amount of elegance to the design, because they know what we all know, and just very few of us want to admit. Nobody plays the game right out of the book. Nobody plays the game right out of the box. You guys know you don't do that. You know everyone gotta add their own little house rules, special rules, kitbash rules, scenario rules, yada yada yada. And that's great. The problem is if the game is already a little too complicated and unsteady, and then you stack a bunch more of that stuff on top of it, it's gonna blow up. It's not gonna run right. 7 days to the River Rhine is like a nice clean slab of concrete. As far as a rule set goes, it's pretty damn simple. Because I think they know that everyone thinks that they're Tom Clancy. Everyone thinks they're some kind of, techno thriller, military scientist or something. And so they're going to add their own little rules and blah, 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 blah. And the game is basically built with that headroom left in. So that you can do that and it won't, you have plenty of room in the rule set for additions in the community. And if you go to the 7 Days to the River Rhine Facebook group, you're going to see all kinds of documents that people are putting in there. New army lists, new scenarios, errata, new tactical advantage cards for different conflicts, like specific to certain conflicts. It's pretty awesome. Everyone shares ideas. honestly, I think that thing is just about done. This is a low maintenance kind of a miniature. I'm not gonna sit here and spend a huge amount of time on it for a miniature that might play once. Catching up here on the chat. Dun, 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 dun. Pretty sure that's the right system wardrobe. He has a series up. Talking about, I'm not sure what you guys are talking about. We play 7 Days to the River Rhine here. We do battle system. We do battle group. We do Panzer Blitz, Panzer Leader, Arab-Israeli Wars. We do Valor and Victory. So there's a lot going on here on the Sitrep podcast. Unless you're talking about O Group. Jen says, yay for me. I knew it before he said it. That's right. I know what we were doing for your birthday this year. I'm going to be friggin' busy. It's my birthday this year. We got, again, 30th anniversary of Gothic Serpent and 50th anniversary of Yom Kippur War in the same month. I'm going to be exhausted. 7 years, good luck for smashing the like button. Hell yeah, man. Definitely appreciate it. I'll be there, John. Only a 40-minute drive away, and I've got the hotel booked. Looking forward to saying hi. Oh, shit. We got some meetups going? I'll be in the UK in mid-October, and yes, Shaco, I'll see you in Derby. Oh, cool. Awesome. John also adds, O Group stands for O Orders Group. Okay, good. Never mind then. It's a mainly British term. O Group is the same as is battalion level. Sweet. Is a British command term, says Patrick. Okay, cool. So never mind. It's not really trying to be an operational. Sweet. John beat you to it. Yeah, John will lynch you in the comments. That's for sure. John also adds, Shaco's going to be good to put faces and real names to screen names. Yeah, be careful with that, John. That has happened to me at more conventions than I can mention. I'll be walking around like Historicon 2019, and one person approached me when he heard me ordering a slice of pizza because he recognized my voice. He was like 2 guys behind me in line. And he says, "You're Oriskany Jim." I turned around and I was confronted by like 3 people I had never seen before in my life. And they knew who I was. I have no idea who they were. So it comes with the territory, I guess. Patchwork says, did you see Andor? Actually, you know what, Patchwork? Yes. Andor was actually pretty good. I actually liked it. It's about the only thing I can say nice about Star Wars since about 1995. But yeah, Andor was actually pretty good. If you were an honest Trekkie, you'd have to admit the first 2 seasons of Next Generation were weak too. Yes, it's true. I'm actually amazed Next Generation made it past season 1 and 2, especially season 1. Season 1 is terrible. Absolutely. I have no, yeah, I say this a bunch of times with anything, you know, favorite generals, favorite battles, favorite game systems. My favorite game system is Panzer Blitz, Panzer Leader, Arab-Israeli Wars. I love Star Trek. I love, you know, all kinds of things, but you can be a fan without being a fanboy. And the difference is, I feel, if you can really enjoy something, but still admit, you know, its faults. And, yeah, those first 2 seasons of Star Trek, dear Lord. We actually got lucky there. Because if the world was fair, the network would have taken one look at those first 2 seasons and canceled the show. We never would have gotten seasons, you know, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7. 6 and 7 started to drag a little bit as well. But Next Generation, second half of season 3, season 4, and the first half of season 5. That's pretty much some of the best Star Trek that's ever been made. Calling it a night, I'm falling asleep. Shakos, yeah, it's got to be coming up on 1 in the morning over there. So thanks very much for coming out. Hello, Walkabout Games, thanks for coming out. Definitely appreciate everyone coming out. Because of Ben says, I always say enjoy what they put out and more will come. Are we talking about Star Wars and Star Trek again? Yeah, here's the problem with things like Andor and things like... Well, Andor is different because Andor was actually produced first and then got put on hold, from what I hear, while they came out with other shows. And then they finally got around to coming out with Andor, which is unfortunate for Andor because by the time Andor came out, a lot of Star Wars fans had been heavily disenfranchised by that point. Not even gonna lie. And a lot of people didn't bother watching it. With Star Trek Season 3 Picard, pretty much Alex Kurtzman and his little bad robot gang, or whatever company he's working with now, quite honestly, the people who've been destroying Star Trek for a while. I think he got mixed up in another project. He's still listed on the show as an EP, and so he's still he hasn't left the franchise. He hasn't been fired or anything, sadly. But he kind of stepped aside. He was busy doing something else. And what wound up happening was they gave it to this other guy who had actually worked on Star Trek. I can't remember his name now. Back in the 90s. He was like a lower level guy back in the 90s. And pretty much because everybody else that was in authority was busy doing something else, they kind of left him alone. And before you know it, he came up with a really good show. It's like someone's been paying attention. The problem is I messed that up. So many people, or Star Trek fans I should say, were so put off by Picard seasons 1 and 2 that not enough of them are giving season 3 a chance, which is a shame. And this goes back to, I believe, what Because of Ben was saying. The fans can gripe and complain about something till they're blue in the face and say, hey, we don't like your show because you didn't do this, you didn't do that. When they do turn around and start to give you what you like, or something that you feel is more worthy of the IP, you have to support it. Or else the lesson that they're going to take away from that is, oh, it doesn't matter, these people really are just a bunch of trolls. So I'm starting to worry that that's what's going on with Picard Season 3. Not enough people are giving it a chance, which is too bad. When they finally fix it, they've already, pissed off too many people. I know that they were never going to make a Season 4 Picard. This was the last season, the final season. They said that from the beginning of Season 1. So, there was never... Forego the idea of a Season 4 Picard. It's not going to... Oh, what happened here? There we go, I'm back. But they were talking about a Star Trek Legacy show. Who knows what's going to happen? I think it's a very, very slim possibility of that. But you never know. Wardrobe was asking, and I was confirming. 7 days to the River Rhine. Okay, cool. Thanks very much. 7 days to the River Rhine is a great set of rules. Roger Jerish. Oh yeah, Roger Jerish did a great job. Absolutely. I think you have to let shows try different things. Yeah, certainly. You can't just retread. This is part of the problem we had with what was it, Into Darkness, sticking to Star Trek. You basically just redid Wrath of Khan. Come on. Now I say that knowing that season 3 of Picard has a lot of Wrath of Khan echoes to it. Nebula battle, lost son, vengeful enemy from the past. Characters coming to grips with their age. Okay, I get it. So do shows have to try new things? Yes. They also have to remain respectful to the legacy upon which they are branded. So there's a little bit of a balancing act there. The problem with too many of today's franchises is they are trying out all these new things just to be new, and they're being very, very disrespectful to people who were far, far more creative than they were. They're standing on the shoulders of giants and pretty much pissing down our leg. Alright, so hopefully you guys can see I got some tail lights going there. We got some headlights going there. I'm going to tinker around with some of the decals, with some of the details, I mean. Did I watch the Amazon Lord of the Rings? I heard a lot of huge complaints about it. Honestly, I don't know enough about Lord of the Rings to judge it. Probably the biggest rages I heard about the new Rings of Power was that it was disrespectful to the source material. I don't know the source material nearly enough. Fantasy isn't really my genre, so I don't really have a dog in that fight, and I honestly don't know. I can tell you one thing, that new All Quiet on the Western Front that everyone's creaming their pants over, that movie eats ass. That is a blatantly disrespectful movie to its source material, which was actually an important novel, especially if you're a veteran. It's one of the first novels ever written by a modern veteran about their experiences to try and show civilians what it was like to actually send troops into combat. Eric Remarque and whoever wrote that movie, that recent movie that came out on Netflix, missed the memo on that one. The whole first half of the book is just jettisoned. The book basically starts in 1917. The main villain of the book doesn't even appear. Well, the main villain of the war is the war. The main villain of the novel is the war. The main antagonist, I should say. Corporal Himmelstoss. I don't even think he appears in the stupid movie. I didn't see him. Yeah, it's just not very good. Not very respectful. And when they ripped all that other stuff out, what they put in its place was a big fat steaming pile of German apologism about how, we really got screwed over when, we signed the armistice. All these generals, friggin' Ludendorff and Hindenburg are in the movie. They don't appear in the novel. Half the movie has nothing to do with the novel. Not recommended. I realized that wasn't what you were talking about, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I get it when people are upset. I'm looking for a different color of paint here. I get when people are upset when a given piece of media is not respectful to the source material. I just don't know about the new Lord of the Rings because I don't know enough about it. Not the best, but passable. The stories will improve. Cool, plus you get more Lord of the Rings. I tell you what I watched recently, and when I mean recently, I mean like last night. I watched the new Stand on Paramount. Ugh, I didn't really like it. A few things they do well. The Plague is done better than in previous miniseries. Then again, that 1990s miniseries was pretty rough. But The Plague is done really well, I feel. Don't like the new Nadine, played by Amber Heard. Who the hell likes her anymore? Don't like the new Nadine. Don't like the new Trash Can Man. Don't like the new Mother Abigail. I do like the new Stewart, and if you guys are familiar with the Stand, either the novel or the original, I think it's 1990. When was that? 1995, that miniseries, which was pretty bad. I guess this one's a little better than that, but Oh, Jen says, oh, it was bad. Patchwork as pictures. I only saw the movie once. The new Netflix, All Quiet on the Western Front. I did not see him. The movie starts in 1917, and everyone in Germany is still hyped up, and pretty much what Eric Remarque portrays when the war starts in the novel, 1914. Everyone's like, go forth for the fatherland, and this is what you do as a German male, especially of a certain age. And the teacher is talking to Paul, trying to get him to go off to a war and all that stuff like that. Everyone's excited to go off and join. That was not the mood in Germany in 1917. Enough veterans had come back, enough people had been killed and wounded. People back then, the starvation had set in. The German Navy had already lost the Battle of Jutland. It's not a good movie. I mean, it's never mind historical accuracies. These trench battle scenes are so accurate. No, they're not. Those trench battle scenes are not accurate at all. You guys gotta trust me. Not at all. It takes more than splashing blood and mud on the lens and shaking the camera around to make for a realistic combat scene. Okay? The German infantry rushes forward, they break the French line, and within 40 seconds, French armor shows up to immediately counterattack. Who won World War II on your planet? Dude, that's not how it worked. Tanks were not capable of that kind of thing in 19. They're barely capable of that in World War II, much less World War I. They did get the right tanks. I'll give them that. They had the Saint-Chamond tanks. Like French with flamethrowers, and it gets weird. Historically inaccurate, even worse, very not faithful to the source material. Not recommended. I'll probably do like a formal video on it, especially now that it won like the Academy Award or whatever, the best foreign film, because it was so awesome. That movie sucks, and it's disrespectful. It wipes its ass with the original novel, and that pisses me off, like personally. Again, oh Jen, what's that noise? We had a bit of noise in the background there. But anyway, I'll get off that topic. I like the Dark Man, Waking Man. Dark Man, Walking Man. Well, that's because of what's his name, Jen? Your boy from True Blood. she's always like that dude. Oh, I like the new Walking Man. I saw it with Eric Scar. I can't remember his name. Big tall guy. It's like, oh yeah, I know Jen likes this guy. Alright, I'll probably put some tactical markings on this and then call it a day, because again, this vehicle's only really going to get used like once, maybe twice tops. I will catch up on Mr. Chat here. Yeah, Jen says, how do you drag out a 1,500-page book? It's a 1,500-page novel to stand, and they still thought that they had to add stuff to it. That wasn't very good, especially near the end. So, yeah, whatever. Patrick says, I thought even Peter Jackson screwed up the source material. I'm not familiar enough to know, so I can't really say. From what I've read, he did have to cut and paste and snip a little bit, but at least he admitted it, and he didn't do it for political or social reasons. It was like, look, I only got like 7 hours to work with here, 9 hours between the three movies, like 9 hours to work with here. This is what I got to do. Until you get to The Hobbit. In The Hobbit, he almost did the opposite. He wanted to make that into 2 movies, they demanded 3. And before you know it, it just turned out to way too long. So he's partially responsible for the Hobbit trilogy as well. But I have to tread lightly on Lord of the Rings because I don't know that much about it. John says, I'm reading Storm of Steel by Eric Younger, another World War I memoir. The guy who won the Port of the Marines. Sweet, cool. Jen hated the new Trash Can Man. Well, it's Ezra Miller, that flake. I hope he goes to jail for some of the criminal charges he's currently facing, from what I hear. I don't know. Nobody felt that way in 17, not even 16. Yeah. Literally from almost the opening phrase. And here's the crazy thing. When you go to Netflix and you go to select that movie, like the little banner they have, is that classic moment from both previous versions of the movie. The American version, which honestly wasn't that good either. I mean, Ernest Borgnine does not exactly make a very convincing, German. But it's in that movie and also in the original 1930-something movie, is that last look back as the main character is marching toward the front and he looks over his shoulder. That's a very quick moment in the novel. It's a quick moment in both previous movies. And yet it's like the last look back at like this other world that he's leaving. I mean, you guys who have deployed, you guys know what I'm talking about. I mean, you're looking over your shoulder. There's your family, there's your country, there's the sane world. And now you've almost crossed this invisible line, and now you're in, you're somewhere else. You're in another realm. You're in country, you're in the shit, you're in the field, you're on deployment, whatever term you want to use, whatever conflict it was. You're definitely somewhere else, to put it mildly. Do I have those? I wasn't planning on getting as far as tactical markings today, but I've got here we go. If I can find my decals, I might just say the hell with it. Hey Jen, can I please get some clean water in this little finger bowl here for some tactical markings? I got some leftover decals I can use. So yeah, I mean, when I saw that, I clearly knew what they were alluding to with that photograph in the promo banner on Netflix, and I was like, oh, cool. It looks like they're actually paying attention. They're going to do it right. Yeah, not so much. I don't think that shot even appears in the movie. So a little bit of bait and switch, a little bit of dishonesty in the advertising. Yeah, I'll get off the soapbox now. I just didn't like it. And it's especially annoying as, people who don't know, or, oh, this movie is so, realistic. It's so, people who don't know anything about, yeah, I'll stop. Let me not get started. Okay, cool. So you have to get the right kind of cross. Clearly you don't want a World War II cross on there. Unfortunately, I do have a few, oh look, here's a few more. I do have a few more modern Bundeswehr crosses and some tactical numbers. So I'll just real quick slap a couple of those on there. Maybe I'll add some radio antenna. And this thing's ready for the table. Again, quick, fast, not really trying to make a permanent addition to my army with this. This is just sort of a placeholder to get me through an imminent game. Now what I'll do later, again, is I will go ahead and buy the real miniature, probably from Battlefront. I do have someone who's reaching out to me on Facebook, offering to sell me a 3D print, or, so we'll see. All right, put those away. Jen brought me some water. Alexander Skarsgård, thank you. Patchwork Pictures, sorry, says, plus they were on the back foot in the open during the 100 days. Absolutely. So you have the St. Michael offensive, the Gneisenau offensive. There's 3 or 4 more offensives. No, there's a grand total of 5. Can't remember them all off the top of my head. St. Michael's definitely first. Gneisenau was second. Phase 3 and 4 escape me at the moment. I have literally written and published on this. I just can't remember the damn names of the stupid things off the top of my head. And then the last one is the so-called peace offensive. Though that one barely counts. And that was it. The Germans had pretty much shot their wad at that point. Then begins the 100 days. So I used to write for a website called, they're still around, on tabletop.com. Great website, check it out if you're ever interested. Met a lot of friends there. Used to write for them on their staff, and that was one of our projects. In November 2018, the 100th anniversary. In fact, we recorded our little video segment for that, and it went out on, I think it was Sunday, either Saturday or Sunday, might have been Saturday, November 11th, 2018. And it goes out at like 10 o'clock in the morning, not quite, maybe like 9 o'clock in the morning on their time, British time. So add 1 hour to that. Long story short, take your second shot. We actually broadcast that. We were only off by like 2 hours for the 11 a.m. Central Time, because that would be Central European Time. 11 a.m. November 11th, 1918. So talk about hitting an anniversary. We got that one within 2 hours of the hour back in the day. And 1918, I feel, 1918 and 1914 are the important, not the important, but the interesting parts of World War I. In fact, another piece of content we did for that website was, the top 5 tips for gaming in World War I. And number 1, stay out of the trenches. Number 2, if you're going to do a trench battle, have only one trench system on the table. Don't try and do a no man's land game, because it's going to be stupid. Also, you're not going to fit the trenches on one table, because these trenches were not a single line. They were networks, sometimes half a kilometer deep. You're not going to fit all that. You're not going to fit 2 of those on a 10, 15, 20, or 28 millimeter table, ever. Especially with any kind of a decent no man's land distance between the two. Your table's going to have to be like 40 feet across by that point. And one of the other ones was stay away, nibble on the edges. Do 1914, 1918. That's where some of the more interesting battles take place. The intro to this version, says John, has the commentary on the differences. Oh, okay, that novel you were talking about. I don't mean to gripe, but Peter Jackson added stuff that he shouldn't have. Left out things that he shouldn't have and got the characterizations wrong. Is this in the original trilogy or in the Hobbit trilogy? I'll definitely take your word for it, because again, I don't really know that much about it. I haven't bothered watching All the Quiet. I didn't really like it. Georgette was suspended. Thank you. That was yeah. So there's Georgette. There's Gneisenau. There's St. Michael's was the first one. Blucher, thank you very much. There you go. St. Michael's, Blucher, Georgette, Gneisenau, and Peace. I believe it was the Blucher offensive that would run into the Marine Corps at Belleau Wood. Dude, these decals are not coming off of their... Let me get a clean brush here. Oh. I'm trying to get these stupid things off their paper. These are also really old decals. They may be stale. I'm sure decals eventually go bad. They are not budging off of that backing until they get ruined. Ah! Maybe I can save that. come on. I'm trying to get the stupid thing on the brush now. There we go. The problem is, not really the problem. The thing is that the national markings go right underneath the gun there. You have to, it's a bit of an awkward place to get to. Also, I'm not really putting these on plastic or resin. They're going on cardboard. Painted cardboard, but cardboard all the same. So, this is going to get a little, one of the pitfalls of scratch building. Oh, come on. I was hoping I could use that pencil to... You're running out of time, Jim. This decal's only going to be wet for so long. All right, hopefully, oof. I have some non-glare finish I can put on that. So I will take care of that in just a second. Actually, I think I want to pick that up some. It's too far down. That's if this thing will let me. Oh, God. And of course I don't have a razor handy because I didn't know I was going to be putting on tactical markings. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have done this. All right, we'll try that again. I'm trying to leave room for the tactical number to go underneath it. So I'm just, it worked fine. I'm just being fussy with the placement. KLR 43, thank you very much for coming out. Yeah, decals. Why am I doing this? Decals are not the most fun part, at least for me. I mean, it always looks good, but it can be a little stressful, especially when you're doing it live on camera. So if we cross the language barrier, so to speak, you guys know what I mean, I apologize in advance. But decals do test my patience sometimes. That one went on there smooth as butter. And on the first try. And of course I ruined it. I really didn't get a razor out. Hold on, excuse my reach. There we go. And again, I've got some non-gloss varnish, some matte varnish that goes on there. Oh, the original trilogy. Okay, again, Patrick, I'll take your word for it because I never read the original books. I don't really know. The dry brush really made a difference in the intensity of the paint. Yeah, that was kind of the idea. I always like to dry brush and dark wash. My models, so when I start off with the base coat, it's like hyper contrast. It's like, holy cow, what circus does this tank belong to, and how many clowns are in that car? You know, it's super garish, very intense on the colors, because I know that they're going to get muted under 2 layers, dark wash and dry brush. Excuse me. John says, Jim, my next project is 1916-18 Western Front in 10 mil, platoon level gaming on the smallish table, 2 fat lardies through the blood and mud of rules. Okay. Cool. The only World War I game I have done recent, well, I wrote and published, well, I didn't really publish it because it wasn't that involved, but I wrote and demoed a 1918 expansion for Valor and Victory. That was pretty cool. Although again, only 1918. It doesn't. I don't pretend that it covers all of World War One. Oh Lord, am I gonna be able to squeeze this in there? Give me the razor. Come on, save this. Nice. That's what we're going for. Oop, that's not really in focus. That's tough to get because you have to get beneath the gun barrel and on top and behind of the smoke dischargers. Sweet. Alright. One more. And again, then I'll probably just put some matte varnish, and this thing will definitely, basically be done. I'm probably going to add the real Gepard has 2 radio antenna in the back. I'll probably add those on there real quick. And again, this will an improvised solution from the outset, so I'm not going to drop a huge amount of time on it. I've got a video to prepare for Sunday. That's going to take at least 2 days. So I've got that. What else? I got to prepare for this 7 days to the River Rhine game on Sunday. Not just this vehicle. Oh, come on, man. I got to actually build the scenario. I got to prepare everything else. And yeah, there's 2 more days of actual work. I got a 50-hour-a-week job. It's not quite straight. Come on. That's good enough. Alrighty, let me get some matte varnish on there. Oh, if I can find it. Found it immediately. That was nice. That almost never happens. I use Army Painter anti-varnish, or anti-gloss varnish, or anti-shine varnish. Just a little dab, because there's not that much to do on this. We got a clean brush to apply it with. That might have been a bit too much, but that's all right. Just so we can say we finished this whole thing in one stream, let me find some radio antenna here. Pretty sure I have some handy if I can just find them. Of course, I'm not going to be able to find them. Oh, yes I will. My problem is that there's too much stuff on this desk. Can't see what the hell I'm doing half the time. Or where my stuff is. All these are empty? I'm trying to find some super glue. Okay, both those bottles are empty. Alright, at least one of these has some glue in it. You can't all be empty. Here we go. Just need a little dab. So what I use for antenna, if you go to any, basic store, not a plastic broom, but the whisk broom that you use with the dustpan. Usually has finer bristles, either black or gray. Find the black ones if you can, that way you don't have to paint them. And you have like a lifetime supply on one 99-cent broom or whatever. Come on, get on there straight. Damn it, man. Try that again. I'm really anal about getting my antenna to stand up straight. Alright, I will let those dry. Actually, they're pretty much already in place. Alright, cool. And then I will trim them to the right. Oh, as I say that, I screw it up because I'm always clumsy. That works. Alright, and there is our improvised, it'll work for Sunday, Gepard. Won't look too bad, especially once that, that varnish there is pretty much dried already. That's the way I kind of want it to look. Notice no matter where I rotate it, there's no shine coming. Well, there's a little bit of shine there. But the shine off of those transfers is very much reduced. And here, there's still a little bit because that varnish is not yet done drying yet. All right, we got some basic tactical markings on there, some national markings, headlights, taillights. I didn't really see any engineering tools. Let me double check. I don't really see that much in the way of engineering tools or other detail painting items. You know what? I'm just gonna leave it alone. On real M60s or M48s, which again, I'm not really using this for, these boxes right here are sometimes different colors. Stowage boxes, but I'm not doing that here because again, this is gonna be a super quick kind of a thing. I'm not going to drill out these barrels. Drilling out these barrels is actually really hard because they're toothpicks, and toothpicks tend to splinter when you try to drill them out. It's not like drilling plastic or metal or anything like that. But I'll tell you what, that will work for Sunday's game, just to make sure that my Germans have some kind of air defense. Not really a completely painted miniature, not really it's not even close to the right tank chassis that goes with that turret, but you know what? It's all good. Not bad for, what started off as a pile of scrap and stuff out of your bits box. And again, this is now a complete miniature, built, painted, almost from, some of it's from, about 50% of the miniature is from scratch in 2 days. And it gets me through the immediate requirement, which is I need a Gepard for Sunday. So I will catch up on the chat here. John says, all right, gotta go. Pack up the stuff for the drive tomorrow. Yep, travel safe, John. Patchwork pictures, cool. Thanks very much, everyone, for coming out. Gotta see some techniques and tips. Got a pile of stuff to speed through. All right, good work. Or good luck, everybody. All right, everybody. We are going to. This guy better get a close up on the battlefield. I hope not, because if he does, I have to again apologize because it's not technically or tactically correct. But it's fine. All right, guys. This is Oriskany Jim with the Sitrep podcast. We're going to go ahead and close it out. We've been up for about an hour and a half, which is kind of what we go for on these Wednesday streams. We're going to go ahead and close out the episode. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed what you see here. Please give this video a like. Again, the likes really do help us get noticed by the algorithm, so we definitely appreciate it. Hit the notification bell if you're so inclined. We tend to put out content every... I definitely put out content every Sunday. I can promise you that. And then there's usually a stream on Wednesday, as you guys probably know. There's going to be some Little Wars coverage coming up from the rest of the team very shortly, so keep an eye out for that. And I do believe we also have a podcast episode streaming live and being recorded on Saturday. So it's not just me by any means. They're going to be doing some Little Wars coverage and also a podcast episode this weekend, so keep an eye out for that. But for now, we're going to go ahead and close things out. We are rounds complete for another episode here on the Sitrep podcast. I am Oriskany Jim, and as always, Tango Mike for listening.